He told her to leave. She obeyed. 1 year later, he saw her again, holding the hand of a little girl who had his eyes. His wedding was in 3 weeks. The bride was chosen by his family. The empire demanded it. But when he looked at that child, everything he had buried came back. The daughter he never knew. The woman he never stopped loving. And the impossible choice that would either destroy him or set him free. This is the story of a man who ruled the underworld, but couldn't rule his own heart. He had stopped counting the days, 12 months, 52 weeks, 365 rotations of a sun he barely saw anymore. Time didn't heal. It just made the wound quieter. Min-jae stood at the floor-to-ceiling window of his penthouse, watching the city stretch endlessly below. Los Angeles glittered like broken glass. Beautiful, cold, indifferent, just like him. His reflection stared back, sharp jaw, dark eyes, a face that had learned to feel nothing. 32 years old. Head of the largest Korean syndicate on the West Coast. Untouchable. Alone. Behind him, his phone vibrated. He didn't need to check it. The reminder had been set for weeks. Wedding venue confirmed. Guest list finalized. 3 weeks until ceremony. An arranged marriage. A strategic alliance between two families. His father's final command before dying. Min-jae had agreed because refusing would have meant war. And war meant bodies. Innocent ones. So he had chosen duty. He had chosen to let her go. Sir. Jun's voice came from the doorway. His oldest friend. His right hand. The only man who knew the truth. The cars are ready. Min-jae turned slowly. For what? Your fiancé requested lunch, downtown. You agreed last week. He hadn't remembered. Hadn't cared enough to remember. Sun-hee was beautiful, educated, polished. Everything a crime lord's wife should be. And she felt like a stranger wearing someone else's face. Tell her I'll be late, Min-jae said flatly. Jun hesitated. She's persistent. So am I. The drive downtown was silent. Min-jae sat in the back of the black SUV, 2 armed guards in front, another vehicle trailing behind. The city blurred past. He didn't see it. All he saw was her. Amara. Her name was a prayer he had stopped saying out loud. She had been a graphic designer, freelance, independent. She'd walked into his legitimate front company one afternoon to pitch a branding proposal, and he'd known, instantly, that she was dangerous. Not because she carried a weapon, because she made him feel human. They had 6 months. 6 months of stolen nights and whispered promises, 6 months where he pretended he wasn't what he was, where she pretended she didn't know. And then his father died. And the empire demanded a sacrifice. He remembered the last time he saw her. Her apartment. Early morning light filtering through cheap curtains. Her standing in the doorway in one of his shirts. Eyes full of hope. Stay, she had whispered. She had... And he had looked at her, really looked, and said the cruelest truth he knew. Don't interfere. I'm marrying someone else. He had walked out. He hadn't let himself look back. The SUV stopped outside an upscale bistro. Jun opened the door. Min-jae stepped out into the California sun, his expression carved from stone. And then he saw her. Across the street, walking out of a small bookstore, holding the hand of a little girl. Time stopped. The city noise faded. The bodyguards became shadows. Everything narrowed to a single, impossible moment. Amara. She looked the same, different. Her hair was longer, her face a little softer. But her eyes, those deep, steady eyes that had once held his entire world, were focused on the child beside her. The little girl couldn't have been more than a year old, maybe 13 months. Dark curls, warm brown skin. And when she laughed at something Amara said, Min-jae's heart stopped. Because her eyes were his. Sir? Jun's voice was distant, concerned. Min-jae couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Amara glanced up. Habit, caution, the instinct of a woman who had learned to watch her surroundings. And she froze. Their gazes locked across 4 lanes of traffic. 1 year, 52 weeks. And in that instant, it was nothing. She didn't smile, didn't wave, didn't cry. She just looked at him with an expression that said everything. You made your choice. I made mine. The little girl tugged her hand, impatient. Amara blinked. The mask fell back into place. She turned away, guiding the child down the sidewalk, and disappeared into the crowd. Minjae stood frozen on the curb. Sir, June said quietly. Your fiancé is waiting inside. He didn't answer. All he could see was the little girl's face. All he could feel was the truth crashing through him like a bullet. She had his eyes. June made the excuses. Business emergency. Unavoidable. Son he would understand. She always did. That was the problem. Minjae sat in the back of the SUV, staring at his hands. Hands that had signed contracts in blood. Hands that had built an empire on fear and silence. Hands that had never held his daughter. Where to, sir? The driver asked carefully. The bookstore, Minjae said. The one across the street. June turned sharply. Sir, now. The SUV pulled a U-turn. Within minutes, they were parked outside the small independent bookstore. It was called Pages and Poetry. Warm light glowed through the windows. A handwritten sign advertised a children's reading hour on Saturdays. Minjae stepped out. His guards moved to follow. Wait here, he said. Sir, that's not protocol. I said wait. The bell above the door chimed softly as he entered. The smell of old paper and coffee filled the air. Shelves lined every wall. A few customers browsed quietly. And there, in the back corner, sitting cross-legged on a colorful rug, was Amara. She was reading to the little girl. A picture book about a brave mouse. Her voice was soft, animated, full of the warmth he remembered. The child sat in her lap, mesmerized. Minjae didn't move, didn't announce himself. He just stood there, watching the life he had walked away from. Amara finished the page, glanced up, saw him. Her entire body went rigid. For a moment, neither of them moved. The little girl turned, following her mother's gaze. Her big, curious eyes landed on Minjae. She smiled. It broke something inside him. Amara stood slowly, lifting the child onto her hip. She whispered something to the girl, then walked toward him with deliberate calm. When she stopped, 3 feet away, her expression was unreadable. You shouldn't be here, she said quietly. I know. You made it very clear a year ago that we were done. I know. Her jaw tightened. Then why are you here? He looked at the little girl. She was watching him with open curiosity, one small hand tangled in Amara's braids. How old is she? His voice was rough, unfamiliar. Amara's eyes flashed. 13 months. The math was simple, brutal. What's her name? Amara hesitated. Then softly. Mia. Mia. It meant mine in Italian, beautiful in Spanish, beloved in Swahili. Is she mine? The question came out hoarse. Amara's expression didn't change. Does it matter? Yes. Why? Her voice was steady, but her eyes were fire. You have a wedding in 3 weeks, a bride, a future. You chose that. I didn't know. You didn't ask. She adjusted Mia on her hip, her movements protective. You said don't interfere, so I didn't. I built a life. I'm building a good life for her. We don't need anything from you. Amara? No. Her voice cut through the quiet bookstore. You don't get to do this. You don't get to walk back into my life because you saw us on the street. You made a choice. Live with it. Mia reached out suddenly, small fingers stretching toward Minjae's jacket. He froze. Amara pulled her hand back gently. No, baby, not him. The words were a knife. Minjae forced himself to meet Amara's eyes. I need to know. Is she mine? Amara stared at him for a long moment. Then she did something he didn't expect. She laughed, not cruelly, not bitterly, just tired. You want a DNA test, a signed confession? What would you do with that information, Minjae? Tell your family? Introduce her to your world? She shook her head. She's 13 months old. She doesn't need a crime lord. She needs a father. And you chose not to be one. I didn't know she existed. You didn't want to know. Amara's voice softened, and somehow that was worse. You wanted clean. You wanted done. So I gave you that. I'm giving you that now. Walk away. Again. You're good at it. He wanted to argue, wanted to demand answers, wanted to fall to his knees and beg forgiveness for a sin he hadn't known he'd committed. But Mia was watching him with those eyes. His eyes. And he realized something. Amara was right. He had chosen. And his choice had built this wall between them. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Amara blinked, surprised. She hadn't expected that. For what? She asked. For making you do this alone. Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. She just nodded once. Okay, now go. He should have, but his feet wouldn't move. I'm getting married in 3 weeks, he said. I know. I saw the announcement. I don't love her. Amara's expression hardened. Then why are you marrying her? Because my family needs the alliance. Because refusing means war. Because... He stopped. The truth was too heavy. Because I'm my father's son. Then be him, Amara said softly. Build your empire. Marry your bride. Forget us. It's what you're good at. She turned to leave. Amara. She stopped but didn't turn around. If she's mine, he said, voice breaking. I want to know her. Amara looked back over her shoulder. Her face was calm, resolved. She's not yours, she said. She's mine. I'm the one who stayed. And she walked away, Mia's small hand waving bye-bye over her shoulder. Min-jae stood alone in the bookstore, surrounded by stories with happy endings. And he realized he had just lost his. Min-jae didn't go home. He sat in the SUV outside the bookstore for 2 hours. Watching. Waiting. June didn't ask questions. The guard stayed silent. When Amara finally emerged, locking the door behind her, Mia was asleep against her shoulder. She walked 3 blocks to a modest apartment building. Old but clean. Safe. Min-jae memorized the address. Then he made a call. Background check, he said when his head of security answered. Amara Okafor. Everything. Employment. Finances. Medical records. I want to know if she's safe. There was a pause. Sir, is this about... Just do it. The report arrived within 6 hours. Min-jae read it alone in his office. Whiskey untouched on the desk. The city dark beyond his windows. Amara Okafor, age 28. Freelance graphic designer. Single mother, no criminal record. No outstanding debts. Rents a 1-bedroom apartment in Koreatown. Works from home. Clients include small businesses, nonprofits, a few corporate contracts. Medical records. Prenatal care starting 14 months ago. Emergency C-section. Mother and daughter healthy. Father. Not listed on birth certificate. Min-jae stared at that last line until the words blurred. Not listed. She had erased him completely. He didn't blame her. The next section made his chest tighten. Financial status. Stable but tight. Monthly income averages $3,200. Rent $1,400. Daycare $800. Utilities, food, insurance. Savings account $147. She was barely making it. And she hadn't asked him for a single thing. Min-jae closed the file, leaned back in his chair, stared at the ceiling. A year ago, he had chosen his family's empire over the woman he loved. Now she had built an empire of her own. Smaller, quieter, but real. And he was the outsider. His phone buzzed. A message from Sunhee. You missed lunch. Again. Should I be concerned? He typed back. Business emergency. I apologize. You apologize often. I'm beginning to think I'm the emergency. He didn't reply. 3 weeks. 21 days until he stood at an altar and made vows he didn't feel. 3 weeks to figure out what he was going to do, because walking away wasn't an option anymore. Not when he had a daughter. The next morning, Min-jae sent June to the bookstore. Deliver this, he said, handing over a sealed envelope. Don't say it's from me. Just leave it on the counter. June looked at the envelope. What's inside? None of your business. Inside was a cashier's check, $50,000. No note, no explanation. And a burner phone number written on a small card. If you need anything. MJ. Amara found the envelope that afternoon. She opened it in the back room, Mia napping in her carrier. When she saw the check, her hands shook, not from gratitude, from rage. She tore it in half, then quarters, then into pieces so small they looked like snow. She threw them in the trash and went back to work. But she kept the phone number. That night, Minjae's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered immediately. I don't want your money. Amara's voice was ice. I know. Then why did you send it? Because you need it. You don't know what I need. You're right, he admitted. But I want to. Silence. Long enough he thought she'd hung up. Then quietly. Why now? Why, after a year of silence, do you suddenly care? I always cared. No, you chose. There's a difference. He closed his eyes. I know. You can't fix this with money, Minjae. You can't buy your way into her life. I'm not trying to. Then what do you want? The question hung in the air, heavy, inevitable. I want to know her, he said. I want to be part of her life, even if that means just watching from a distance. Even if you never forgive me. I just need to know she's okay, that you're okay. We're fine. You're barely surviving. Her breath caught. You had me investigated? Yes. How dare you? I had to know you were safe. His voice rose, then dropped, controlled. You disappeared. For a year. You could have been anywhere, with anyone. I needed to know. You have no right. I know I don't, but I'm asking anyway. He leaned forward, elbows on his desk. Let me help, not as whatever I used to be. Just as someone who wants to make sure you have what you need. We don't need you. I know. His voice broke. But maybe I need you. The line went silent. When Amara spoke again, her voice was soft. Careful. You're getting married in 3 weeks. I know. To someone else. Yes. Then what are you doing, Minjae? He didn't have an answer, because the truth was too dangerous. The truth was, he'd rather burn his empire to the ground than walk away from them again. I don't know, he admitted. I don't know what I'm doing. But I can't pretend I didn't see her. I can't pretend she doesn't exist. She existed a year ago, Amara said quietly. You just didn't know. If I had, would it have changed anything? Her voice was hollow. Would you have chosen differently? Would you have walked away from your family's demands? He wanted to say yes. He couldn't lie to her. I don't know, he whispered. Amara exhaled slowly. That's what I thought. Amara. Good night, Minjae. The line went dead. Minjae sat in the dark, phone still pressed to his ear. And for the first time in a year, he let himself feel it. The grief, the regret, the unbearable weight of loving someone you had no right to love. He had built an empire on control, but he couldn't control this, and he had no idea how to let go. 2 weeks. 14 days until the wedding. Minjae stopped sleeping. He spent his nights in the penthouse, staring at the photo June had taken. Amara and Mia leaving the bookstore. The little girl's face turned toward the camera, mid-laugh. He kept it in his desk drawer, locked, hidden, a secret that was destroying him.
A brief pause. Before we begin, pay attention to this. Those who are already part of the channel's premium are watching content that doesn't appear here, getting videos before everyone else, and following the channel in a different way. Closer, more exclusive. If you watch often, if this content is already part of your routine, then this is for you. Joining is simple. Just click join here on YouTube.
During the day, he attended wedding meetings, tasted cakes he couldn't taste, approved flower arrangements he didn't see. Sunhee smiled politely through it all, her eyes sharp and knowing. You're distracted, she said over dinner one night. They sat in a private room at an upscale Korean restaurant. Bodyguards outside, candlelight between them. Business, Min-jae said automatically. Is her name Business? He looked up sharply. Sun Hee's expression was calm, almost kind. I'm not stupid, Min-jae. You disappear for hours. You don't return calls. You look at me like I'm a stranger. She folded her hands. There's someone else. He could have lied, should have, but he was tired of lying. Yes, he said quietly. Sun Hee nodded slowly. Do you love her? Yes. More than you could ever love me. Yes. She didn't flinch, didn't cry. She just smiled sadly. Then why are you marrying me? Because my family needs... Your family needs you alive, she interrupted gently. Not miserable, not half dead. She leaned forward. I've known you since we were children, Min-jae. And I've never seen you like this. Whoever she is, she's killing you by being absent. She has a child, he said. The words came out hoarse. My child. I didn't know until 2 weeks ago. Sun Hee's eyes widened. Oh. I walked away a year ago. Made the choice my father would have made. And now. He looked down at his hands. Now I don't know how to unmake it. Sun Hee was quiet for a long moment. Then she reached across the table and covered his hand with hers. Then don't marry me, she said simply. He stared at her. Our families need an alliance, she continued. But they don't need a marriage. We can negotiate something else. Trade agreements, territory sharing. There are other ways. Your father won't accept. My father will accept what I tell him to accept. Her voice was steel beneath silk. I'm his only daughter. He won't force me into a loveless marriage if I refuse. Sun Hee, I deserve someone who looks at me the way you look at her, she said quietly. And you deserve to stop punishing yourself for being human. Min-jae felt something crack inside his chest. Why are you doing this? He whispered. Because I've known you my whole life, Sun Hee said. And I've never seen you fight for anything except power. Maybe it's time you fought for something real. She stood, smoothing her dress. I'll talk to my father tomorrow. You talk to yours. She smiled. Well, his memory at least. She left him alone in the private room. And for the first time in a year, Min-jae felt something like hope. Min-jae went to his father's grave. It was early morning. The cemetery was empty except for crows. His father's headstone was black marble. Simple, intimidating even in death. Kim Dae-jung, leader, father, legend. Min-jae stood there for an hour, silent. I'm breaking the alliance, he finally said. Sun Hee and I won't marry. I'm going to negotiate something else. Something that doesn't cost me my soul. The wind moved through the trees. You'd call me weak, Min-jae continued. You'd say I'm choosing a woman over the family, over the empire. He paused. And you'd be right. I am. He crouched down, touching the cold stone. But I have a daughter, Abeoji. A daughter I didn't know existed. And if I marry Sun Hee, if I keep living the life you built for me, I'll lose them both. Forever. His voice broke. I can't be you anymore. I don't want to be you anymore. He stood, bowed once, deeply, and walked away from his father's shadow. Amara was closing the bookstore when Min-jae appeared. She saw him through the window, standing across the street, just watching. She locked the door, picked up Mia from her playpen, walked outside. Min-jae crossed the street slowly. No guards, no SUV, just him. You're alone, Amara said carefully. I wanted to talk. Really talk, not through bodyguards and bulletproof glass. Mia stared at him with wide eyes. She'd seen him twice now. She was starting to recognize him. Talk then, Amara said. I called off the wedding. Her breath caught. What? Sun Hee and I won't marry. We're negotiating a different alliance. One that doesn't require me to. He stopped, started again. One that doesn't require me to give up what matters. Amara's eyes searched his face. Min-jae, you can't just— I know what I'm risking, he interrupted. I know this could cost me everything. My position. My family's respect. Maybe even my life if the wrong people decide I'm weak. He took a step closer. But I'm risking it anyway. Why? Because she's mine. He looked at Mia. Because you're mine. And I walked away once. I won't do it again. Amara's eyes filled with tears. She blinked them back furiously. You don't know what you're saying. I know exactly what I'm saying. We're not a fantasy, Min-jae. We're real. Messy. Complicated. Mia wakes up 3 times a night. I work 70 hours a week just to keep us fed. We don't fit into your world. Then I'll leave my world. You can't. Watch me. Mia reached out suddenly, grabbing Min-jae's finger. He froze, looked down. She smiled at him, trusting, innocent. And he broke. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry I wasn't there, that I didn't know, that I walked away. He looked at Amara. I can't undo that, but I can be here now, if you let me. Amara stared at him, torn, terrified, hopeful. You'll hurt us again, she said softly. Maybe. You'll choose your empire over us when it gets hard. Never. How do I know that? You don't. His voice was raw, honest. You just have to trust me, and I know I haven't earned that, but I'm asking for the chance to try. Silence stretched between them. Mia tugged his finger. Dada? Min-jae's entire world stopped. Amara's eyes widened. She's just babbling. She doesn't— Dada, Mia said again, more insistent. Min-jae looked at Amara. Can I hold her? Amara hesitated. Then slowly, she shifted Mia toward him. The moment Mia settled into his arms, something inside Min-jae healed. She was warm, solid, real. His daughter. Hi, he whispered. I'm your dad. I know I'm late, but I'm here now. Mia patted his face curiously, smiled. Amara watched them, tears streaming silently down her face. One chance, she finally said. That's all you get. Min-jae looked at her. That's all I need. The first 3 months were the hardest, not because of the family, not because of the business, but because Min-jae had to learn how to be something he'd never been before. Human. He woke up at 3 a.m. to Mia's crying and didn't know how to soothe her. Amara showed him, gentle bouncing, soft humming, patience. He felt clumsy, inadequate, like his hands, which had signed death warrants, were too dangerous to hold something so fragile. But Mia didn't know that. She just knew he was warm, that he came when she called, that he was learning. You're doing fine, Amara told him one night, watching him rock Mia back to sleep. I don't know what I'm doing, he admitted quietly. None of us do, she said. That's called parenting. He looked down at his daughter. She'd fallen asleep against his chest, one tiny fist curled in his shirt. I missed so much, he whispered. You're here now. That's what matters. But it wasn't enough. Not for him. So he started asking questions. What were her first words? When did she start walking? What did she love? What scared her? Amara answered each one patiently, building the history he'd missed, filling in the gaps. And slowly, piece by piece, Min-jae became a father. The business didn't forgive easily. Min-jae called a meeting with his inner circle 2 weeks after calling off the wedding. 8 men sat around a table in a secure location. These were the ones who mattered. The ones who could make or break him. I'm restructuring my role, Min-jae announced. I'll remain head of the family. Final authority stays with me. But day-to-day operations will be delegated. Silence. Then Park Jin-ho, his father's oldest lieutenant, spoke. You're stepping back. I'm rebalancing. Because of a woman. Because of my daughter. Min-jae's voice was steel. I have responsibilities beyond this table. Your father would be ashamed, Jin-ho said flatly. My father is dead. Min-jae met his eyes. I'm not. Another man, younger, leaned forward. The Kim family has always put the organization first. Always. That's why we're powerful. That's why we survive. And I will continue to put us first, Min-jae said. But I won't sacrifice my family to do it. There's a balance. I intend to find it. And if we disagree, Jinho asked, then you're free to leave, with a generous severance and my respect. Min-jae's expression didn't change. But if you challenge me, you'll lose. Don't mistake flexibility for weakness. The room went quiet. Jinho studied him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, he smiled. Your father would have threatened us, he said. You're giving us a choice. Maybe you're smarter than he was. Min-jae exhaled slowly. I'll stay, Jinho said, but you need to prove this works. The second the family weakens because of your divided attention, we'll have this conversation again. Fair enough. One by one, the others agreed. Min-jae left that meeting knowing he'd bought time, but not certainty. He'd have to earn this new life every single day. Amara didn't make it easy. She loved him. He knew that. But she was terrified, and she had every right to be. I need rules, she told him one night after Mia was asleep. They sat on the couch in her small apartment. Min-jae had offered to move them somewhere bigger. She'd refused, said she needed to do this on her own terms. What kind of rules? He asked. You don't lie to me, ever, about anything. Her voice was firm. I don't care if you think the truth will hurt me. I need to know what's real. Agreed. You don't bring your work around Mia. No guns, no dangerous people, no meetings in our home. Agreed. And if this gets too hard, if your family demands you choose between us and them, she looked at him directly. You tell me immediately. You don't make that decision alone. He reached for her hand. She let him take it. I won't put you in that position again, he said. You can't promise that. I can promise I'll fight like hell to avoid it. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I'm scared. So am I. Of what? Of failing you. Of being the man my father raised instead of the man you deserve. He squeezed her hand. Of losing this. Amara leaned her head on his shoulder. Then don't lose it. I won't. It was a promise he intended to keep. Month 4 brought the first real test. A rival organization made a move on Kim territory. Bold. Aggressive. Designed to see if the rumors were true, that Min-jae had gone soft. The old Min-jae would have responded with overwhelming force. Swift, brutal, unmistakable. But he had Mia's laughter in his head now, Amara's trust in his hands. So he called a different kind of meeting. Neutral ground, no weapons, just conversation. The rival boss, a man named Chen, arrived with suspicion in his eyes. You used to be predictable, Chen said. Now I don't know what you are. Smarter, Min-jae replied. You took 3 blocks. I could take them back in a night. We both know that. But that means bodies. Attention. Federal investigations neither of us need. Chen leaned back. So what do you propose? A partnership. You keep the blocks, but you pay a percentage to use our distribution network. We both profit. No bloodshed. And if I refuse? Min-jae's expression didn't change. Then I'll do what my father would have done, and you'll lose everything. The difference is, I'm giving you a choice first. Chen studied him, then laughed. You've changed. I've evolved. Because of a woman? Because I finally figured out what I'm fighting for. They shook hands. The deal was struck. Min-jae went home that night and kissed his daughter goodnight without blood on his hands. It felt like winning. 6 months in, Min-jae took Amara and Mia to meet his mother. She lived in a quiet neighborhood in Pasadena. Elegant, reserved. She'd separated from his father years before he died, unable to bear the violence anymore. Min-jae hadn't seen her in 2 years. He knocked on her door with Mia on his hip, Amara beside him. When his mother opened the door and saw them, her hand went to her mouth. Min-jae, she whispered. Yama, I'd like you to meet someone. Mia stared at her grandmother with wide eyes. Min-jae's mother started crying immediately. She has your father's eyes, she said softly. But your smile. Her name is Mia. Mia, his mother repeated, reaching out tentatively. Mia let her touch her hand. And you must be Amara. Amara nodded, nervous. It's an honor to meet you, Mrs. Kim. Please, call me Haewon. She stepped back, wiping her eyes. Come in, please. They spent the afternoon drinking tea while Mia played with old toys Min-jae's mother had kept in storage. His childhood things. A wooden train set, picture books in Korean. I thought you'd never come back, his mother said quietly. I didn't think I could, Min-jae admitted. I thought I'd become him, completely. But you didn't. I almost did. Haewon looked at Amara, then at Mia. They saved you. Yes. Then they saved me too. She reached across and took his hand. I lost your father to that world. I thought I'd lost you too, but you found your way back. Min-jae's throat tightened. I'm trying. That's all any of us can do. When they left that evening, Mia waved bye-bye to her grandmother. Haewon stood in the doorway watching them go, tears streaming down her face. But she was smiling. The house in Silver Lake came next. Min-jae bought it outright, cash. A small craftsman with a backyard and a garden, nothing like the penthouse. Nothing that screamed wealth or power. Just a home. Amara cried when she saw it. It's too much, she said. It's ours. Min-jae, marry me. She froze, stared at him. What? He got down on one knee, right there in the empty living room. Pulled out a simple ring, nothing ostentatious, just a single diamond on a platinum band. Marry me, he said again. Not because I'm trying to trap you. Not because I think you need me, but because I need you. Because Mia needs both of us. Because I want to spend the rest of my life proving I'm worth the chance you gave me. Amara's hands covered her mouth. I love you, Min-jae continued. I loved you a year ago when I was too stupid to choose you. I love you now. I'll love you 50 years from now. So please, marry me. Mia toddled over, curious. Dada? Min-jae scooped her up with one arm, still on one knee. What do you think, baby girl? Should Mama marry Dada? Mia clapped. Yay! Amara laughed through her tears. That's not fair. You're using our daughter as leverage. I'll use whatever works. She looked at him. Really looked. Saw the man who'd walked away. The man who'd come back. The man who was trying, every single day, to be better. Yes, she whispered. Min-jae stood, Mia between them, and kissed her. Yes? He asked against her lips. Yes, you impossible man. Yes. Mia squealed and clapped again, delighted by something she didn't understand but could feel was important. And in that moment, standing in an empty house that would become their home, Min-jae understood something. He'd spent his whole life building an empire. But this moment, this woman, this child, was the only kingdom that mattered. The wedding was small, just 20 people. Haewon, June, Sun-hee, who brought her new fiancé and gave Amara a warm hug, a few of Amara's friends, Jin-ho and 2 other lieutenants who'd become unexpected supporters. They got married in the backyard of their new home. Mia was the flower girl, scattering petals everywhere except the aisle. Everyone laughed. Min-jae wore a simple suit. Amara wore a cream dress that made her look like sunlight. When the officiant asked if he took Amara to be his wife, Min-jae didn't hesitate. I do, completely, forever. Amara cried. He cried. Even June looked suspiciously misty-eyed. When they kissed, Mia yelled, Yay! And everyone applauded. That night, after the guests left and Mia was asleep, Min-jae and Amara sat on the back porch under string lights. We did it, Amara said softly. We did. I didn't think this was possible a year ago. Neither did I. She leaned against him. Do you miss it? Your old life? No. Not even a little? Amara. He turned to face her. I spent 32 years being someone I hated, doing things that kept me awake at night, building power I didn't want. He brushed a strand of hair from her face. And then I met you. And for the first time, I wanted to be better. Not for the family, Not for the business. For you. For Mia. For myself. You are better. I'm trying to be. That's what makes you better. They sat in comfortable silence, watching stars appear in the LA sky. Thank you, Minjai said eventually. For what? For not giving up on me. Even when I gave up on us. Amara kissed him softly. You came back. That's what matters. I'll always come back, he promised. No matter what. You and Mia, you're my home now. Good, she whispered, because we're keeping you. 1 year later. Minjay woke to small hands patting his face. Dada, up, up. He opened his eyes. Mia stood beside the bed, hair wild, wearing her favorite pajamas, the ones with cartoon tigers. She'd turned 2 last month, was talking in full sentences now. Opinionated, fearless, exactly like her mother. Good morning, trouble, he murmured. Pancakes, Dada? Peas? Please, he corrected gently. Peas, she insisted, grinning. He laughed. Okay, pancakes. Amara stirred beside him, still half asleep. What time is it? 6 a.m. Too early, she groaned. Mama, pancakes! Mia climbed onto the bed. Mia, sweetheart, Mama needs sleep. No sleep! Pancakes! Minjay scooped her up. Come on, baby girl, let Mama rest, we'll make breakfast together. Mia cheered. Cook with Dada! In the kitchen, Minjay set her on the counter and let her help by stirring the batter. She got flour everywhere. He didn't care. Dada? She said after a moment. Yes, baby? Love you. His heart stopped. She'd said it before, but it hit him new every time. I love you too, Mia. So much. This much? She spread her arms as wide as they'd go. More, he said, spreading his arms wider. This much. She giggled. So big. The biggest. Amara appeared in the doorway, wrapped in his old shirt. Room for one more? Always. She joined them, and together they made the messiest, most perfect pancakes in the world. After breakfast, Minjay took Mia to the park while Amara worked on a client project. He pushed her on the swings, helped her down the slide, chased her around the playground. Other fathers were there. Some knew who he was. Most didn't care. Here he was just another dad, worried about scraped knees and snack time. And it was the most powerful he'd ever felt. That afternoon, June called. The Henderson deal closed. Profit margins are up 18%. Jinho says the new distribution model is working better than expected. Good, Minjay said, watching Mia build a tower with blocks. Also, the Chen partnership is paying off. No conflicts in 6 months. Everyone's making money. Even better. You were right, June admitted. About the restructuring. About finding balance. It's working. Minjay smiled. Thanks for trusting me. Always. June paused. How's fatherhood? Exhausting. Terrifying. The best thing I've ever done. You sound happy. I am. After hanging up, Minjay sat on the floor with Mia. She handed him a block. Build, Dada. What are we building? Castle. A castle for a princess? No, castle for Mia. He laughed. Of course, a castle for Mia. They built together, her small hands knocking down towers he carefully constructed. She thought it was hilarious. And he realized something. This was his empire now, not territory or power or fear. These moments, this love. That evening, the family sat on the back porch. Mia in Minjai's lap, Amara beside them, watching the sunset paint the sky gold and pink. Tell me a story, Dada, Mia requested. What kind of story? Princess story. Amara smiled. This should be interesting. Minjai thought for a moment, then began. Once upon a time, there was a prince who lived in a very tall tower. He had everything, jewels, gold, power. But he was very lonely. He didn't know how to be happy. Mia listened, enraptured. One day, a beautiful woman came to the tower. She wasn't a princess. She was just herself. And when the prince saw her, something changed. For the first time, he wanted to be better. Did he love her? Mia asked. Very much, but he was scared, so he sent her away. That's sad, Dada. It was very sad. The prince thought he'd done the right thing, but he was wrong. What happened? The woman had a baby. The most beautiful little girl in the world. Mia smiled. Like me? Exactly like you, Minjai said, kissing her head. And when the prince saw them again, he realized he'd made a mistake. So he did something brave. What? He left his tower. He gave up his gold. And he went to them and said, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Can I be part of your life? Did they say yes? The woman was scared, but she gave him one chance, and the prince worked very hard to be the kind of man they deserved. And then? And then they became a family, and they lived happily ever after. Mia yawned. Good story, Dada. I thought so too. Amara's eyes were wet. She mouthed, I love you. He mouthed it back. As the sun disappeared and stars began to emerge, Minjay held his daughter close and felt his wife's hand in his. He thought about the man he'd been, the violence he'd inherited, the empire built on fear. And then he looked at what he'd built here, a home, a family, a love that felt like redemption. His father had taught him that power was everything, but his daughter taught him something better. That love was the only power that lasted. That choosing connection over control was the bravest thing a man could do. That walking away from darkness toward light wasn't weakness, it was strength. Mia fell asleep in his arms, peaceful and trusting. And Minjai made a silent promise. He would spend the rest of his life being worthy of this. Of them. He would be the father his daughter deserved. The husband his wife chose. The man he'd always wanted to be. Not perfect, but present. Not powerful, but loving. Not his father, just himself. And that, he finally understood, was enough. The empire he'd spent his life building had crumbled, but from its ruins he'd found something infinitely more valuable. A home, a family, a second chance. And as the night settled around them, stars bright above, Minjay closed his eyes and breathed in this moment. This perfect, impossible, beautiful moment. He had been a prince in a tower. Now he was a father in a garden, and he had never been happier. This was his empire now, and it was everything.
Before you go, just a quick reminder. If you want exclusive stories, members-only videos, and early access before anyone else, you can become a channel member by clicking Join right here on YouTube. Your support helps this channel grow and allows me to bring you deeper, more powerful stories every week. All support options are in the description. Thank you for being here. See you in the next story.